so, as you see in the earlier pictures, after several years of working with these companies, I managed to at least get all the facilities installed or to have a sound wall put around them. And so that had been a positive thing. Noise by no means isn't quiet, but it's a whole lot quieter than it used to be. So as the site continued to grow, though, and these glycol dehydrators started to get installed, odors started to become a problem. They started to stink. You guys have any facilities around here that stink? So I started complaining to our state regulatory agencies, which you probably have too. Didn't get any relief. Actually, the Texas Commission on Environmental Quality sent out an inspector who was looking at arguably one of the largest sites in the state of Texas, said, yeah, no, do smell that. And then wrote up in a report and couldn't determine the source of the odor. So I decided, well, nobody's going to do anything, so maybe I ought to pursue litigation. So I started calling around, trying to find an attorney who might come to represent us. And if you call one guy and they don't want to deal with you, they'll send you, hey, call this guy, he'll represent you. So I ended up talking to an attorney who represented all these companies. So he disclosed that, but oddly enough, shortly after that, these companies decided that they were going to come in and have a meeting with me and sit down and talk about this a little bit. And they decided that they were going to do an air study. They told me, we're going to do an air study, we're going to find the source of that odor, and we're going to fix it. I worked with them on the noise of it, and it did take me a little while, but at least I thought I had won a little bit there. So I thought, you know what, maybe that's what I want. It's much easier for us to do it this way than to go through the litigation process for sure. So before I move on to the next slide, everybody notice anything odd about those trees? You got any fence lines around here? I think I've seen a couple of fence lines that would get built up over 20 or 30 years. It'd just be a line of trees right there. It's so thick you can't see on the other side of it. That's the way that tree line goes. Once the compressor side moved in, essentially from fence line to fence line, where the compressor side is at, every one of those trees are dead or dying. So the 5 operators, compressors, they performed a joint air study. Their idea of an air study is that they took a gas detection unit and they put it in the back of a little SUV. They drove around for 2 hours and said nothing was wrong. So they couldn't find anything. This was a quote from their study. No natural gas leaks were found that would be detectable to human nose. So that was just a figment of our imagination. That odor we've been smelling for the last year and a half was just a figment of our imagination. So this tells me that, you know what? They're trying to deceive us. They're not being truthful. They're not being honest. And they sure ain't being that good neighbor they keep talking about. So we had no choice. They left us with no choice. So we went and we spent 15% of that little budget for our little town to have a comprehensive air study done. This is what our study said. Laboratory results confirm the presence of multiple recognized and suspected human carcinogens and the fugitive air emissions present on several locations tested in town of Dish. Everybody know what a carcinogen is? Carcinogens wasn't the only thing. We had neurotoxins too. So I brought a copy of that. It's up here. You can find it on our website. I'll have some contact information pop up here in a second. There's a couple of things here. Wolf Eagle Environmental did the testing. Just like trying to find an attorney, trying to find somebody who does this kind of work, who doesn't do a large portion of their business with the oil and gas industry, is pretty difficult. This company was the only company in the Metroplex so when you have somebody whose livelihood is hanging in the balance, it's a little difficult in my view to get an unbiased view. So that was the main reason we used this firm. Samples were taken at 7 locations all around the site, some upwind, some downwind. All but one showed exceedances of the effect stream levels. Of course, the one that was upwind did not show any major exceedances. There were 16 toxins that were above effect stream levels. Several of those exceeded both the short-term and long-term. So, just to explain shortly, briefly on what an effect stream level is, that's a level that if you're exposed to a certain toxin at that level for a certain period of time, it could cause damage, it could cause harm. So, example, benzene, the long-term effect stream level, which means that if you're exposed to this for a year, is 1.4 parts per billion. And then the short term, 1 hour, is 180 parts per billion. So you can see that's a wide range. The effect stream levels are based on a 35-year-old healthy male who is exposed to a toxin in an occupational setting. 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. Not a stay-at-home mom, not a pregnant mother, not an infant, not a child. I was wondering, well, why is that? Why would that be? Why wouldn't they base this, or why wouldn't they have data on a child, or an infant, or a pregnant mother? Well, the fact of the matter is that a child, pregnant mother, is supposed to be exposed to these toxins. Certainly not 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So, now this has been going on now for 6 months. We had the data back in September, so what does that come out to? We're on like 8 or 9 months now. So this has been going on for a while. And since I started coming out trying to talk to people and trying to get people interested in what's going on, because this is the only study. This is the only study of our kind that has been released to the public. Most of the time these studies are done, they're held tight because of litigation. They're using it in a lawsuit. But we released our data. We're a public entity, just like your municipal government here has open government. So we released the data, and we've been out trying to share that with folks. And there's been a lot of speculation about this study. The industry has said that it has been debunked. The industry has went as far as to say that our Texas Commission on Environmental Quality debunked the study. And that's inaccurate. TCEQ, shortly after we released our study, did a memo, an internal memo, that validated the findings in our study.